Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mila and today I'm going to talk about and I'm going to psychoanalyze Andrew Tate. Finally, I really wanted to do it for a very long time. I have watched this video right here and it's been very fascinating to watch. Well, yes and no. And I'm not going to go into Bonnie Blue because Bonnie Blue in that video is just, she has a lot of filters on, she has a certain persona that she puts on, and it's actually very boring for me to analyze that because there is so much that's been hidden, and she's constantly trying to please, Andrew Tate in that video, so it's really boring to watch her talk. However, it was very interesting to watch what he had to say, and like I said, I wanted to do this for a very long time, so let's get into it. I'm going to talk about, misogyny, whether he's a misogynist or not. To cut the, long story short, I believe that he is. And I'm going to go into the roots of things, and I'm going to try to explain, why he turned out to be who he is and why he has these views. So to say straight to the point, he has very strong views, misogynistic views, such as women should stay at home, women should look after children. And what's funny is that there are certain things that I agree with him. When I watch the videos of him sort of like doing these motivational videos for men, especially men getting over breakup, I listen to it carefully and I realize that there is some sense that he says, that there's a lot of sense that he makes, He kind of like motivates men to go and work, to go and achieve, to be ambitious, to be successful, to go to the gym, to basically not stay in the victim mentality and go out there and smash it. And that is something that I agree with completely and entirely. However, I'm going to show you some of the comments that I've seen. I'm going to analyze some of the comments on the videos, and I'm also going to go into some bits and pieces of this interview and also sort of kind of like tell you my view on things and kind of like break it down a little bit more in detail. So let's get into it. I'm going to start from the middle of this video because in the beginning there's not much going on. So let's get into it. Let's listen to this part here.
Old and used to the point where they can't get the quality of man they want. Then they're sitting around 36. I can't find a man who's, I don't like this guy, because the guys you like are with 22-year-olds, my dear. And you had a guy who loved you and you f***ed it up because you cried over him cheating like an idiot. Women, find a man you love, let him cheat, just tell him to only come home to you and only love you, let him do what he has to do, don't stress him too much, have some kids, drive a Bentley. That fixes society. But of course, if I say that, I'm a misogynist. I'm the worst man in the world.
If you said to that girl, go and work, go and earn your own money, go and do this, they don't want to do that either. So you
care, and he gets to enjoy his girlfriends, and his wife gets to drive a G-Wagon, and everyone's happy. It's only in the West where she'll be like, I can't believe he wants to talk to another girl. It's stupid. And then women end up leaving men they love, because he cheated, and then getting cheated on by a man they don't love. It's dumb. And it's just over and over and over again, until they end up as sluts. Or old, and used to the point where they can't get the quality of man they want. Then they're sitting around 36. I can't find a man who's, I don't like this guy, because the guys you like are with 22-year-olds, my dear. And you had a guy who loved you and you f***ed it up because you cried over him cheating like an idiot. Women, find a man you love, let him cheat, just tell him to only come home to you.
Okay guys, so the reason why I cannot take him too serious is because he has this archetype. Okay, he has, and I will later create a product for archetypes because I think archetypes is a very interesting thing because each archetype has a shadow and it's something that you can learn about yourself when you know what archetype you are and what your shadow is, because each archetype has a shadow. So he is like an archetype of like a jester, like he's like I cannot take him, I can't take him serious. Like I laugh at everything he says because he's so funny. Like he's actually very funny because everything he says is hilarious, okay? But what the shadow, what is the shadow of the archetype of a jester, like of someone who's like a joker? This kind of archetype will deny pain, and he later denies in the end of the video. He says, I do not cry, I don't cry, no crying, Yeah, of course. She also does the same thing. She's like, no crying. I feel like she has the same archetype. She's a joker. She's an absolute joker. She just everything she says is so not serious. These people do not take world seriously. And that's cool. That is cool. You don't have to take the world seriously. You can have a laugh about everything, but not when you start affecting the lives of other people. Okay. And this guy, I know that he has an effect on other people's lives, and men specifically. He educates men, and that is disastrous. Why is it disastrous? I'm going to tell you why. So you just heard everything he said, right? He said that 20 older men will go to younger women. Older men will go to younger women in cases when an older man would want control over the young person. So you see, this guy, Andrew Tate, he does not have like a family concept. He deeply, he hates women. He hates the modern woman. But if you actually give him the perfect virgin that he so much wants and desires and adores, there is still hate for that, because he says it's okay to cheat. Even if I love the person, it's okay to cheat. So there is no family values. Okay, cheating is betrayal. Cheating equals betrayal. In his mind, cheating does not equal betrayal. Yet, what's funny? He always talks about women cheating. Women do these. Women are whores. Women are escorts. Women are unfaithful. Women are liars. And I saw a video with his child, with his baby girl, where he was actually telling her, "Are you lying to me now? Are you lying?" To his baby girl, to his baby child. "You're a liar." The child is 3 years old. He's telling that baby girl, "You're a liar." Like, what? Excuse me? So what it says, okay, what this says is that he hates lies, okay, but cheating, because cheating is not, is a betrayal. So he makes it okay. But he despises women who cheat. So he is a massive, biggest hypocrite I've ever, that's why it's so funny. That's why it's so funny watching his videos and listening to him, because he's a hypocrite. He's a big hypocrite. I just don't understand how people don't see it. He's so funny. So an older man would go for a younger woman because he needs to have control over her. There is such thing as family concept. Family concept is also when you have family values. And family values, it's honesty, it's taking care, of one another. It's being loyal. Loyal is one of the family values. And so I don't really feel like this man would ever have like a full family where, or maybe he does have it, I'm not sure, because he hides his lifestyle and his children and his whatever girlfriends. I feel like he would never really be able to create that family, because it's very unrealistic, because no normal woman would agree to be cheated on. And we need to understand one thing, that this, just how you're watching this video, you have your you have your circle of people that you're surrounded with. I have my circle of people. We all have our own little reality. So this guy has his own little reality. And with his reality, where he has money, power, blah, blah, whatever, he would be surrounded. And also in that video, they mentioned that he would be surrounded. I think this guy in the middle said something like, well, because you're rich and whatever, you would be surrounded by these kind of women. And it's true. He is surrounded by women that possibly escorts, that go for him for the money that he has, that don't go for him personally. No normal woman who will stay loyal, who will be a virgin, who will be, will accept being cheated on and that be normal. He wants not just an obedient woman. What he describes, a virgin, young, she can be cheated on. What he describes is not an obedient woman. That woman would be like a massive victim, because he does have certain traits. I'm not gonna give him any diagnosis, but he has certain narcissistic traits. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm calling him a narcissist. I don't know this person, never met him, never worked with him, no idea. But misogynist and narcissism, it comes hand in hand, and I'll tell you the connection later. keep losing my thoughts. I'm trying to pack as much as I can in this video. So he talks about being realistic, but how can you be realistic if you want something so pure and gentle? Okay, unless it's a massive victim who will, be like this, on her legs, sitting in front of him and begging him, and unless that's that kind of woman who is a massive people pleaser and massive victim that can deal with him cheating and all of that, there's no normal woman that could ever be with him. No, normal women do not surround him. I feel like normal women are somewhere afar from him. They are not, he wouldn't even notice normal women. He goes for pretty beautiful women, probably model looking, young, possibly young, I'm just guessing. And he mentioned in this video that he wants to get her heart. He wants to earn her heart. He doesn't want to, he wants to own her, emotionally. He wants to have that ownership of a woman. That is very manipulative. He wants to have full control. And in his videos, he says the king, daddy is a king. He shows his daughter little pawns, like the chess game, because Andrew Tate's father was like a chess player, I think, and so he even wears the chess thing here. I think it's a king, maybe it's a king piece. And so he tells his daughter, this is a pawn, that's what people are, this is a horse, this is a queen, this is a king, that's what daddy is. It's like, how could you be so, why? The question is why, not how. We're not sitting here judging. We're trying to analyze why he is so delusional, extremely delusional about himself as a person. His delusions are nothing but defense mechanisms. In my course, I explain, defense mechanisms and how they affect us and what defense mechanisms we have. But anyhow, his defense mechanisms, okay, they come from pain, trauma. And they created, so he ended up we all have defense mechanisms, okay? I have my own that I'm working on, you could have your own, and he has his own. And so normally what happens with defenses, they are like our coping strategies in a way. And that has become his almost like legacy. So his coping strategies became his legacy. That's his coping strategies is something that he's trying to teach to the world and educate, and he perceives this as truth and ultimate truth, and there's no truth other than that. That is very black and white thinking. There's no this is the truth and there's no other truth. He can't even, think outside of the box. There's no thinking outside of the box. He thinks he's already outside of the box, but he is actually inside the box. And he's going to have a hard time getting out of the box because he is extremely delusional about himself and what he perceives as truth. So let me tell you why and how he became the way he is, in my opinion. These are just like my ideas. You can call them my fantasies, okay? But I wouldn't say fantasies. I'd say these are my ideas. I'm trying to analyze in the end of the day. So what are my ideas about his childhood? Why I want to go into his childhood? You're going to think, oh my God, childhood again. No, but childhood really plays a massive role of how the person is acting these days, how the person is now. So I looked into his family. I've heard that his dad was very authoritative, that some kind of government officials made him accept that he's a narcissist so they could give him money or something. There's a story about that. You can look it up. I don't know whether his father is actually narcissistic or not. I have no idea, okay? But with misogynistic men, and by the way, I can give you a list of what is considered misogyny. I've written it all down and I can read it to you and you can actually take a note of that. And he pretty much covers all these points. And then I'm going to tell you where and how the misogyny is, how it's formed and where does it come from. So first of all, misogyny is when you objectify a woman, you bring her, the whole woman's purpose down to cooking, cleaning, looking after children, sexual needs, satisfying men's sexual needs, and not having brain and not having the right to vote, and is just really objectifying women. And he talks about, again, this is where he's hypercritical, that he objectifies a woman to the point that he only sees a woman as an object. And that's the kind of women that he attracts. He attracts women that sexually objectify themselves. Okay, he attracts these women into his life and he judges them. And I don't disagree with him. These women do exist. There are a lot of women who sexually objectify themselves, such as this lady here, Bonnie Blue. Complete sexual objectification, made a lot of money on it. Good on her. That's her. If that's what she wants, God bless her. However, at the same time, he talks about how he wants how he wants to get the heart of a woman, how he wants to, like, you might think like there's no love there, but I feel like deep inside he wants to, it's almost like he cannot love a woman. Maybe a part of him wants to love, and maybe a part of him, like every human need is to love and be loved, right? But I feel like he's unable to love. I feel like, okay, so let me go into the misogyny signs, and then I'll tell you the 3 reasons why someone becomes a misogynist. So signs of misogyny: open hatred towards women in general. There's that. We can see that in him. Sexual harassment. Well, he has been accused, but some people might believe that he has, and he keeps saying that he didn't. But see, sexual abuse can be very different. Sexual abuse can be, when you grab on a woman, I know it's like when you try to have sex with a woman when a woman doesn't want. But when you're in a relationship with a woman and you force yourself onto a woman, you as a man, you might not necessarily see it as sexual abuse, because you're just, sometimes when, maybe some couples try to make up and a man would like try to have sex with a woman the woman doesn't want, that's also sexual abuse, because a woman doesn't want to have sex. But he would then force it, thinking, well, she's a woman, she's my woman, she has to have sex with me anyway. So at first I thought, nah, this guy probably did not do it. But then when I started watching more and more and more, I feel like in some kind of like passionate argument or something, he could have, again, I don't know, but he could have, maybe, I don't know. So blaming women for all problems, and he does that too. Complete blame on feminism and all that. And I don't get me wrong, I'm not. If we were not, I don't want to go into the topic of feminism. It's a topic that we can just go talking for hours and hours. But there's some part of feminism I like, and there's some part of feminism I don't like. If there was no feminism, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. But at the same time, it's almost like there is like toxic feminism. I don't know if that such thing exists, okay? But I feel like it can sometimes go completely out of hand. But again, on that, maybe I'll record a separate video on that, because that's like more of a social topic. So inability to communicate respectfully. I do feel like the guy does not really have respect for women. He might have respect for certain women that represent certain things for him, but I think in general he does not respect women. Discrimination against women in the workplace, passive aggression towards women. In this whole video, he was not necessarily passive aggressive, but he was sarcastic. He was saying that Bonnie Blue represents the feminism, where it has gotten us. But I wouldn't necessarily agree with his point of view that this is where feminism has gotten us. That no, it's not what feminism has gotten us to. It's something else. I think I should record a separate video on that. Then taking women's domestic care for granted, dismissing women's ideas without objective analysis. And he's talking about not giving the right to vote for women, so therefore that is that. Calling strong, independent women whores and bitches. I genuinely think he does not like strong and independent women, because that is very threatening to him. And he says that, what women would do without men. And he talked about, like, what about obese women? Do you think they could be successful? Yes, there are. There are women who are, who not necessarily model looking, and they are successful. There are so many cases of those women. I don't know what kind of world he lives in, but he obviously doesn't see that. Believe that women should only take care of home and children. Okay. Negative attitude towards rape victims and blaming them. He does that. Psychological and physical violence against women. Pathological jealousy, possessiveness, treating a woman as property. I'm 100% sure he does that. Desire to subordinate women. Numerous unserious relationships with different women. Refusal to accept women's opinions. Rudeness towards women. Non-verbal signs of disrespect towards a woman. Attempts to make a woman look stupid, 100%. Treating disagreement from a woman as an insult. Constant complaints about women. Accusation of stupidity. Breaking promises made to women but keeping them with men. Being late to meetings with women but being punctual with men. Distancing from women, emotional unavailability towards women. Denying that women can be equal or superior in certain areas, attributing their success to luck or sex. This is literally what this whole thing is about. You know, Bonnie Blue is there. You know, she is successful because, you know, she's very smart marketing wise and you know, sex. So that's why they don't have an argument. That's why they're not having an argument, right? Because she objectifies herself so much to a function of being a sex provider and sex only. And it's almost like there's no other values other than her pleasing men, which is sad. Okay. Anyway, I can go on and on and on. Maybe I should make a second video, but I really want to go into why he is the way he is. This is the most interesting part. So Andrew Tate, there are three possible things that could have happened. First of all, a father in the family. If the father was misogynistic, narcissistic, then he would have copied that behavior. He would have copied that behavior as that is normal. That is how it's supposed to be, and that is what I'm going to implement in my life. He talked about both of his parents being very critical. Okay, both of his parents. He didn't say my father was critical, my mother was nice. He said both of his parents. So that made me think, okay, the second reason why men become misogynist and hate women is because the mother, and I'd say this is one of the main reasons, is that when the mother has been very cold, not loving, does not give emotional support, emotional care to the child. That's what happens. And I don't know how his mother is, but there's a possibility that the mother has been cold, dismissive. He always says, okay, my mom, she cooked, she cleaned, he always says in all his videos the same thing. She did the job of cooking and cleaning and keeping me alive, making me survive by cooking and cleaning and all that. But mother's role is not just cooking and cleaning. Mother's role is taking care of a child emotionally, providing that stable ground for growth and love and nurturing, right? That care. And if that's not there, and especially cold mothers, I mean, like, I know examples of mothers who have, you know, who have done horrible things to their male children, like would disrespect them when they were very young, you know, would treat their child, you know, like in a very, very bad manner, like maybe beating their child, verbally accusing the child. Let's say, you know, if this is a very horrible example, but like this could be a case of, let's say, a mother, if a child, you know how some children, they can pee their pants, and then if a mother will then blame the child for, why did you do that? Shame on you, like shaming children, shaming the male children. That is traumatizing to boys. And that will definitely make them hate a woman's figure. And but then again, in society, you cannot really show hatred towards your mom. Like he's a cool dude. He can't really hate towards he can't hate his mom. So he has to, like, that's why he says, I've given everything to my mom. I've provided for her. The first thing I did, I provided for my mom. I gave her everything. She's a millionaire. She can buy whatever. Go buy yourself whatever. That's something that I see, in therapy. That's something that I see, that people, they are unable to live through the grief of the emotionally unavailable and dismissive and cruel, very cruel parent. And because they're unable to live through that, they will then put all that hate towards women. Okay, they will put that hate towards women. They cannot accept the pain, and they cannot be mad at their mums. So they put all that hate towards women in general, and they choose the partners they can hate on. So that's another thing. Again, I don't know what happened. Third thing, okay? Number three is if he was heartbroken in a young age, heartbroken. And let me play you some clips, because he always talks about that. His videos are about heartbreak. He creates motivational videos about heartbreak and how you should make her go become successful and rich, and then look back at her and she will run after you and she will beg you, and you will show her who's the king now and how you missed out, bitch. Do you get what I mean? So I feel like there was a mixture of all these things. That's why he's become so such a huge misogynist, because I think there might have been, like there might have been the father's upbringing, it might have been the mother who might have been called, God knows, and it might have been it 100% sure. He talks about the breakup. He talks about his heartbreak, his personal heartbreak. I couldn't find that video. I found another part that I'm going to play, but about him having been heartbroken, it's 100% happened. 100% he talks about it. And so, see, when his way of dealing with heartbreak is to become successful and then kind of get that revenge on a woman. So really what it talks about is that he's being very emotionally mature and he's not being able to accept his wrongdoings. And again, I don't know, sometimes men very often, men do bad things in relationship, disrespect a woman, do something bad to a woman, and the woman leaves them. And then they become all like revengeful and they want to revenge because they do not take accountability for their actions, for their behaviors. They do not take that accountability. They do not reflect. They go into complete defense mode, and now it's all about, F you at most of the times, F you, bitch. Do you get what I mean? Like it's all about that. It's not about, okay, what did I do wrong? Let's analyze. What did I not do right? What did I possibly do wrong? And if I did not do anything wrong, and if someone leaves me, then that's okay. Because, I'm not a dollar for everyone to like me. I'm not. So not everyone's going to like me. Sometimes values will clash. Sometimes certain events will happen. Certain things will happen. And even if the first woman he attracted that he got heartbroken by, she left him, let's imagine she left him for a richer guy. And that's why he became like all successful and, Well, that's on the girl. Maybe she didn't love you then. Maybe she did not love you for you or whatever. Like she did not love you. And the whole idea, he's going to mention now, to love me for who I am. It's also a very immature position. But then he mentions that, he provides and, like the support that he provides is material and all of that. That makes sense. It's when we're grown up, no one's going to love us for who we are. Only our mothers will love us for who we are. No one's going to love you as a grown-up adult for who you are. People will love you for how you treat them. Yes, partially for who you are. Partially, of course, yes, for who you are. Your values. The values are aligned. You are kind. You are, nice and respectful and gentleman, etc. But it's also how you treat a person. You can't treat a person in a horrible way, like shit, and then demand another person to love you for who you are. Then you're a child. You're an immature child that is stuck in a developmental stage of a 5-year-old. I'm sorry to say this, but this is the case. And truth hurts, doesn't it? It does. I know it does. It did hurt for me too. Certain truths that I had to accept about myself, it hurt too, But this is how we grow. So if you want to grow, I invite you to come to therapy with me. So anyhow, so that's why I kind of sense like certain immaturity, and there is actually victim mentality in him. And he's all about not being a victim. I'm more than that. I'm better than that. But his whole persona and everything he says, it literally screams a victim mentality. You don't need to revenge anyone. You don't need to, there's no need to revenge anyone. If you feel like I'm okay, everything is okay with me, and someone messed up, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Genuinely, no need. People who are trying to prove things to other people, they're very, very sad, very deeply broken, insecure, very, very, very broken people who are trying to prove someone their worth. Because him becoming rich and successful is proving his worth. Let's take a look at this thing, and I think I'm going to finish the video because it's already gone on so long.
Really about women nowadays is kind of similar to something you said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, you said you wanted to take the souls of the virgin men.
Gotta
I
get
kind
me
of like to get a
excited.
woman's heart more than I like to get her. I kind of like her to be obsessed with me. And that's easier to do when you're one of her first men.
I mean, as soon as she sees you watching your money, you're all right. You've got a heart.
Yeah, but no, then she's obsessed with my bank. I want her to be obsessed with me for real. I try and find women who love me, which is very difficult.
For who you are and not your money and transactions.
No, it starts with the money and transactions, and it kind of stays that. But I like to have women who feel like they can't live without me. Because if a woman feels like she can live without me, I lose all attraction to her. I don't know why. So it's nothing personal. I'm sure your technique is fantastic, and you're very attractive.
Thanks.
But,
Do you think that makes you a narcissist then?
Oh, I think every single person on the planet is a narcissist.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous when we sit here and say, oh, he's a narcissist, but I'm not. Of course, that's the dumbest. Every single person
When
on
you
the
look at
planet.
the definition of it, everyone is
Everyone's
to
a
a certain
narcissist.
extent. As long as you want to be successful and you believe in what you believe in and you
You're a
feel
narcissist.
empowered by it,
Of course.
suddenly you're a narcissist.
Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's out for themselves. Everything is transactional. And the goal of all transactions is to get the better end of the deal. And I have no problem with girls spending my money if I feel like I'm getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah.
If she gives me like children, for example, that's one of the ways she can give me the better end of the deal. If she dedicates her life to me and she's sexually exclusive to me and she doesn't go out clubbing or partying and doesn't do anything without telling me and she gives me her life and her loyalty, I feel like that's worth some money. That's a transaction. But
So again, what's interesting is that he said he wants loyalty. He wants ultimate loyalty from a woman, yet he's not willing to give that to her. And that isn't that hypocrisy when you want one person to give you something but you cannot give the same thing to the other. That just talks about, and he said about narcissism, right? And they discuss narcissism. In a way, they're right, because narcissism is a scale and we're all on that scale. But healthy narcissism, and this is when I get to the point of healthy narcissism and unhealthy narcissism on both different ends. On one end, we have grandiose narcissism, and on another hand, we have like a covert or sad narcissism, okay? When it's like a victim kind of like narcissism. And obviously he's more on the grandiose side, and same with Bonnie Blue, it's more on the grandiose. But there is such thing as healthy narcissism, and healthy narcissism is when you don't need to belittle other people, is when you don't need to prove anything to anyone, is when you're confident within yourself, is when you are... Anyway, I discussed that in my course, again, about narcissism and all that. I talk about that in great detail about, healthy, unhealthy narcissism and how to be, in the middle, how to reach that perfect ground when you feel confident. Because healthy narcissism is confidence. So in a way, he is right. But what he showcases is not just healthy narcissism. That is more grandiose. Like you want something from another person, but yet you can't give it back. So it's hypocritical, completely hypocritical. And usually the reason why a person would not be in the middle of the healthy narcissism and on other scales of it is the way the child was raised. Is the child, if the child has not been reflected back how great you are, how lovely you are, or the child has only been loved conditionally, I only love you for this when you're this, when you behave this way, when you do this, when you act like this, then the narcissism, it starts moving on one or another scale, right? It goes to grandiose or the covert. I call it sad narcissism. You're like a sad narcissist. So there's a possibility that he shifted from covert to grandiose, but again, I don't know. There is a lot more to say. There is definitely a lot more to say in this video. So much more to say, but I did not want to make it like 1 hour and a half, just like this, just like their whole podcast. So if you guys want a second part, I would be more than happy to do it. But only if I get 20 comments that people want a second part. 20 is enough. If I get 20 comments, people want second part of the video, I'll make it. If not, I won't make it. And anyway, like I said, there is so much more to say. I could literally pluck things out and just go deeper into it. But I think I've given a rather interesting overview, I guess. And yeah. thank you guys for watching as usual. Don't forget to, follow my channel, like and comment, write your opinions, what you think, what you disagree with. As long as it's constructive criticism, I welcome it very much. And also, check out my courses, check out my products. I have this amazing, great course that I believe that would help you uncover your true self, will help you become more confident, but not in like a grandiose, narcissistic way confident, but like genuine confidence when you accept yourself, when you understand yourself, when you can uncover your defenses, etc. And I welcome you to get therapy with me. I still have few spots open, and I will be seeing you in my next videos. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.